Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back with more Malifaux and Mysterious Effigy. Chaotic Red. And like all the other effigies created by Zoraida the Swamp Hag, Mysterious is tied to, in this case, the Neverborn, Zoraida's own faction. There's not much else to say about it before, or in general, but getting the inside of the mouth. And these arms are really flimsy, so I'm going to have to be cautious. Dark Elf Skin 09164. It has teeth I'll pick out later. Using the word it because it is a genderless puppet, doesn't really have any gender at all, to be perfectly clear. And plus Collodi, another puppet, refers to itself as an it, since it doesn't have a gender and doesn't choose to associate with one or another. And of course, a knife behind the back. While various masks presenting various guises appear. I was originally going to do these legs in a steel color, but decided against it the last minute. Figured it might look a little better if they match the flesh, or the flesh area. Okay. Gonna let that dry before moving on. That's a start. Okay, next. Yellow Bone 09143. Need to find a brush that's nice and pointy. I guess the teeth picked out. And Grimoire purple. Well, that's weird. And this is plugged up, so. Okay, I'm being really careful around the arm. Now, I won't be able to get completely under the dress here, but it's alright. In general, want to keep your focus on the most readily visible areas, get everything you can, but okay, occasionally you'll have areas like this where you just can't get to them very well. It's something that could be solved by painting and then gluing onto the base. But I didn't even think about that at the time, and it's not something I prefer to do anyway. But it is an option. It's got that. Well, almost. There's a little bit on the shoulder, I think. There we go. Shield Brown 09161. Gotta make sure the brush is cleaned out from the last color. Can't see the basing too well because of how much space the model itself takes up, but again, that hand sculpted thing I do, just a sort of a ruined town thing with a mud and a bit of wood, and then getting the handle on the knife. And make sure I'm not dropping thousands of frames a second. Seems to be starting to happen, so let's wrap this up quick. Plate mail metal. And getting the blade of the knife. Alright, just a few more base coats will be done. Finishing up base coats. Blonde hair 09257. Now, as I've said in the previous effigy videos, they kind of evolved like Pokemon, absorbing the excess energy during Governor General Kitchener's failed attempt to become a tyrant entity. In a Mysterious's case, it turned into a sort of plant creature. Kind of like Swamp Thing, I suppose. With twisted, dangerous versions of nature being a common theme among Neverborn. Which also fits in with the whole monster theme in general, but also seems similar to the model Bad Juju, which I do have coming up. I'm not sure exactly when, but this might need a second coat. Yeah, I'm just going to do a second coat, probably off camera. But Leather White 09062. And sometimes when using light colors on black primer or other dark colors, you'll need to do a second coat, and that's fine. A lot of things in Malifaux are very symbolic, and masks are a very prominent symbol in general. Just making sure I get This is making me nervous. That arm is really flimsy. Some of these masks were separate pieces, just for the sake of being perfectly clear. Looks like some of this purple isn't completely dry either, so I'm just gonna, at this point, roll with it. There we go. Now, Woodstain Brown 09160. It looks like I need to absorb a little of that white got onto the talon there. Little Woodstain Brown 09160. And get the mud portion of the base. Alright. Outside of a little touch up on the hair with a second coat, that's it for base coat. So once everything's dry, I can start shading. Okay, shading. Blonde Shadow 09256. Thinning the paint out into a wash with 1 part water to 1 part paint. You generally don't want to do adjacent areas when shading because of how much the paint will bleed into it. Now if you do want to kind of blend in, then absolutely make sure you've got adjacent areas touching, but just need to be mindful. Stained Ivory 09142. Well, just make the face with that. It's okay, the highlight on that will be darker. Blackened Steel 09205. Blend White 09061. Alright, I'm going to have to let that dry completely before I move on. Alright, next, Wasteland Soil. It's not mixed very well. Much better. Carefully filling in the dress, letting it flow where it's going to flow, not trying to avoid as best I can hitting anything else. This just takes patience and control. A lot of practice required. Okay, let that dry and move on. Okay, next, good grief, this is going to get irritating. Next is going to be Dark Elf Shadow 09163. That insatiable buzzing noise is a groundskeeping crew doing some heavy work. Chainsaws, wood chippers, the whole thing. So there's not a whole lot I can do about it, so this is just going to get irritating, and that's about all there is to it. Just until they finish up doing what they need to do. Okay. Oh, I nicked the mask there. I want these pristine. Okay. Eep. Okay. Now that's just going to leave the inside of the mouth and 2 tones on the base. In fact, no, I really can't get either one of those right now. There's also the wood on the knife handle, but that's going to be the same shading as part of the base, so just about done on this. Okay. Not completely dry, but dry enough to work with. Red brick 09001. Just a tiny dot in the mouth. And then matte white. We'll prep the eyes. This is going to have to just be 2 more layers of shading to wrap this up. That's all there is to it. Plus a lighting effect. So, using the same amount of water as a base coat. Just, okay. Does it only have one eye? No. No, it's just a little. Here we go. No, not quite. A little more here. Woodstain Brown 09160. Handle the knife. And a quick once over the wood texture on the base. Alright. Once that's dry, I can wrap up with shading and lighting. Alright, dry enough to work with. Lemon yellow 09009. So as a lighting effect, this will need 2 to 3 parts water per 1 part paint. Just fill in the eyes. Soak up a bit of that excess, but having it go beyond the boundaries a bit does help the effect that it's glowing. Matte black. And the base is still a little wet, but can work with that. With darker colors like this, you will also need to use 2 to 3 parts water per 1 part paint. Otherwise, it'll muddy up your base coat to the point you can't tell what it is. And there we go. Once all this is dried up completely, I can highlight and wrap up. Alright, time to highlight. Vampire red. Now I'm switching to a dry brushing tone. That is not mixed well enough. Try that again. Better. Using a dry brushing technique. So no water, just straight paint. Completely dry brush. Rubbing it on a paper towel till it looks like there's nothing left. And lightly dusting the area to be affected. There's a bit of a tongue in there. Now next, Shield Brown 09161. Just doing a quick once over the base. Driftwood Brown 09162. Getting the handle of the knife and the wood portion of the base. True Silver 09207. Boy, that is making me real interested the way that arm is moving. So looking down a little more thoroughly. Dark Elf Highlight 09165. Really careful on the arms, especially. These are brittle. Where is it? Creamy Ivory 09144. And the silver just then frame dropped. And this one's plugged up. So, well, that's no good. Let's work. There we go. Just a simple paper clip. Has a lot of utility. Orc blood. Which has a stuck lid. There we go. Which is still not mixed up thoroughly enough, looks like, so. Newer pots require more mixing. And as I've been switching to this Army Painter Warpaints brand, I find it's a substantial amount, especially at first. Much better. I'm trying to go against any raised edges here to help catch the paint better, avoiding the masks, focusing on the readily visible surfaces, so I'm not going to be going underneath the skirt. Blond highlight 09258. Oh no. Well, that happened. You see that came off there. So, well, the highlight on the hair is done, but that's, so, I can fix this just a drop of cyanoacrylate glue. Just a little pool there. Brace it on there. And let's see here. Okay, this leg too looks like, so. Puddle and look a little awkward, but unfortunately now I'm going to have to let this glue dry before I move on, so we'll just have to wait a minute. Well, that sucked. So, oh, are we cool here? Okay. System acting up. Alright. Ghost White 09063. Once again, the more advanced technology becomes, the more and more it ends up like the climax of that Mel Brooks movie, Spaceballs. Specifically where the cancel to the self-destruct is out of order. But okay. And these little puffs here I can't do anything about. That's what happens when cyanoacrylate superglue interacts with paint. Unfortunately, again, nothing I can do about it. Using a very delicate touch on this one especially. Okay. Final step. Matte black. And switching to a flathead brush. Gonna carefully line the base. Just cleaning up all these nicks. Trying not to hit any of the basing I've done. Or that one leg that's above the ground there. And there we go. Mysterious Effigy. Just about halfway done on these. Looks like Carrion is up next, so until then, I am Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, signing out.